Now we're moving into this modern workplace where you can pretty much pick up your laptop and work at any time. Could be dangerous at times. You can work from anywhere. You could, get on a plane and shoot across to Europe and sign in and still interact with your colleagues, as you would if you were in the office or working from home, as we have been for the past year. Use any device or network. Previously, you had certain apps that would only work on a laptop, certain apps that would only work on a computer. Now you can pretty much bring any app from your device, whether it's your mobile device, your tablet, your laptop, your computer, and you are bringing up these applications and you are able to, still do what you do on a daily basis. We heavily rely on collaboration tools and apps today, and the Power Platform really helps that because many times applications cannot be tailored to your work environment, where bringing in these tools like Power Apps, you can really take a process from start to finish and digitize it, whether it's an inspection form, whether it's a forecasting app. You can really understand how the business works today and tailor it for your business instead of getting a generalized application and start creating custom fields and integrations for it to work. Here you can create something right out the box and not even have a developer do it. You as a business person could take that application and with low code platforms like the Power Platform and Flow and Power Apps, put an application together. So you might ask, how does Teams fit into the Power Platform? We look at Teams a lot for my meetings and my chats, and there's a lot more that Teams can do. We've got these rich tabs, as they call in the surface rich content, where you could surface a web page, you could surface Power Apps, you could surface a Power BI report, you could surface a whole approvals piece where you see all your approvals as opposed to jumping to different apps to approve things. Message extensions and adaptive cards kind of go hand in hand. You can create really rich forms that you are pushing to your users through a chat, because people are more likely to answer a chat than an email or a letter or something like that. So you can put these adaptive cards, which we'll jump in our demo and show you, these adaptive cards that have some rich content that people can go then and approve or action or vote or create a survey, push out a work order, push out an approval process. It's also, Teams is heavily sitting on Microsoft Graph, which is really the core foundation of how the Power Platform interacts, and the integration and all the collaboration between users and what files and activity your colleagues are working on. We got Power Virtual Agents, which is really an exciting topic for me. Users want information, and they want this information quick. They want to be able to action something without having to wait on a call, whether it's the service desk or customer service. So the chatbots really help that. They always online. They very quick learners, if you will, where you can quickly push content through these chatbots. There's a ton of connectors that you can use within Teams. Under the App Store, there's a whole bunch of different apps that you can have with Teams that companies are developing today to create that integration. So you very rarely have to leave Teams. And you got this activity feed, which, as notifications are coming in, this is kind of where we're going today. You got your phone today, you order a pizza, you'll get a notification when the pizza's at your doorstep. And it's kind of the society we're in today, is getting this information quick and getting things moving quicker. And we want things quicker, and we want information in our fingertips a lot quicker. So with the Power Platform and Teams, you can drive this in your business and get, whatever it is your business does, whether it's, processing work orders or service desk or inspection forms within health and safety, you can get this content out to your users very quickly using the Power Platform and Teams. So we'll jump into our very first demo, and it's a very popular one. And in this particular case, it's a procurement request approval, but generally there are a ton of approval processes in businesses, and these are generally done through email, through paper-based forms as well today. And using the Power Platform, you can rapidly develop these forms, digitize them. And it's not a matter of just taking a form as it is today and copying over the fields and just throwing them on a digital form. It's actually about challenging the process. And you always hear, well, we've always done it this way. And that's really what the Power Platform is breaking, is that we've always done it this way. This is the opportunity to kind of challenge these processes and actually see if it's the best fit, and actually see what is the best fit. And using Teams, Power Apps, Flow, even in this case, we're going to use adaptive cards, which I spoke about earlier, where you can push this rich content through to users and actually have them interact within Teams, within a chat. So if we look at this process here, we got Nesta over here who's, needs a new laptop. So in the demo, what we're going to have is Nesta is going to interact with a chatbot to say, I need a new laptop. That the bot is going to return a form to, digital form for Nesta to fill out. Nesta's request will then go to Patty, who is Nesta's manager. Patty will then review the request and approve it. Nesta will then get a notification to let him know that the request has been approved and it's going on to the IT department. And then we got Alan over here, who's in IT, will then move the request through its life cycle by receiving a laptop, setting up the laptop, getting it ready. And then as this is happening, Nesta's being notified as the steps are happening. Now, in this case, we've just created a very simple work order management tool within a Teams Power App, but this doesn't need to be in Power Apps. If you've got a full-blown service management tool today, you can still leverage that data to do this piece here. So it's not to say that everything now needs to go be rebuilt in Power Apps. Power Apps is there for more tailored applications that are being built in your business today. It's not to go and replace your whole full-blown ERP systems or service management tools. It can do very close to some of them if the budgets within your businesses are not there, but don't go and replace your whole service management tool. Leverage that data, but still implement a process like this. So if I jump in here, I'm going to jump in as Nesta. So you can see at the top here, I'm logged in as Nesta Wilk. And within my chat, I can add a chatbot within the organization. Right now I've got it just set up in my chat here, but you can actually add it as an app, and you can pin this. And what it does is your users don't have to go and find it in the chat. They could just see here we've named this chatbot Frank. So I'm just going to start this chat over here. And we'll get a message. Hi, I'm hi Nesta Wilk. My name is Frank. How can I help you today? And in this case here, we've only configured 3 items right now. We can put a procurement request in where we will order the laptop. We can check the status of a request by giving a ticket number, and the request will come back, telling us where the request is. And then we could even put in an IT support request. So in this case, we're going to do a procurement request. And Frank will say, okay, what are you looking for? You got a hardware request, a mobile request, a license request. In this case, we're going to do a hardware request, but one thing to point out here, you could do a license request as well. So in the Microsoft 365 world, you got all these different licenses for Project, for Visio, for Power Apps, Power BI. And a lot of the times in today's world, users are sending an email to your IT help desk, and you might wait a day or two, depending on the volume that's happening here. But with a bot now, I could request a license, and if it's coming out my manager's budget, my manager can just approve it. Once it's approved, the bot can then just go, or a workflow can kick off and just activate the license for me. So I could go from waiting a day or two for a license to be activated into a couple minutes. So in this case, we'll do a hardware request. And now the bot is interacting with Flow. So the bot will actually send Nesta a chat now. So I got a chat request in here now. And if you notice, I've got a nice form here, hardware request. So I'm looking for let's go with a Lenovo T490. We'll grab some 32 gig RAM. Let's say a 1 terabyte hard drive. And in this case, we've got COVID happening and the pandemic. So where would you like it to have the device shipped to? We'll go to my home office, home address, and here's need a new laptop. I'll submit the request. Now, before IT even see this request, it's now going to my manager. So I get a message from Frank saying, thank you, your request has been submitted. Frank's given me a request number already, and have a great day. So if I hop over to Patty now, I'm logged in as Nesta's manager, Patty Fernandez. and we should get a notification in a second. In a real life world, you wouldn't be waiting within 2 minutes like this, but we just go over to settings here, and I think this is a previous one. We'll just wait for this. I mean, and as Patty here and anyone doing approvals, there's the approval app within Teams, so you can see all the requests coming in, and here you see the request just came in. So if I go over activity, I can either see the request right in here under my activity where I can just hit approve. I also get a chat message from Flow saying you got an approval request, which I can hit approve here as well. So we'll hit it within the approval app. Approved. Great. You don't see it goes over to approved, and then you'll notice it keeps a whole track of all your approvals. You'll see you can filter here what's pending in the all the different requests that are coming in from all the different apps. In this case, it's the procurement app, but you could have multiple apps here that you do approvals for. So if we hop back in from Nesta now, Nesta gets a notification, your hardware request was approved. So if we hop over now, I'm Alan, who is our IT administrator. Alan now uses an app built in Teams. So if you're not aware, Microsoft recently, before you could embed a Power App within a team, but now Microsoft have launched Dataverse for Teams, which is pretty much using a light version of Dataverse. And the licensing is included with Microsoft 365. There is a limitation on Dataverse. I believe it's up to 2 gig at the moment, but you can build full-blown apps using Microsoft's Dataverse within Teams. So if we just jump over to our IT procurement portal here, and I'm getting this error because I don't have a profile picture. So if we jump in the bottom here, I've got 4 approved requests. These are still pending a manager's approval over here, and I've got a completed request. So if you see at the bottom here, I've got Nesta. Nesta's a request here. I can click on it. Here's the request we put in. Patty's approved it. So if I assign this to John Goldman over here, and I can, I put the order in, our procurement team puts the order arrives. I can now say, okay, mark this as orders arrived. And when doing that, Nesta's now getting a notification as this is happening saying, hey, John Goldman is your technician. He's received your laptop as of today. Estimated time 1 to 2 business days. And if you look at it, how it's done in today's world, users are waiting, where's my laptop, what's the status? Now you've got this interactive communication, and it's very minimal on the IT side. It's not any, calling anyone to let them know. They're just getting straight notifications within Teams. And if you noticed, we've put in a request right now. We've approved it. We've seen the request. We've let Nesta know that it's arrived, and we have not left Teams yet. But we are leveraging the Power Platform. We've interacted with a chatbot, a Microsoft Flow, and a Power App. So if I hop back in here, I can now, let Nesta know orders shipped, and Nesta will then get a notification saying your order has shipped. So this is, a very key example of how, the Power Platform with Teams can be leveraged. You could look at a full-blown solution that has an approval process like this. This is just with an IT procurement request, but if you look at procurement as a whole within businesses that are purchasing and stuff, you can have these requests even going to your external clients. So if you need to keep them notified, they can also be, guests within your network or in your Teams channels getting notifications as well. So this is not just, within your tenant. You can have this extend. So if we jump back to the presentation here, we'll just go over what we accomplished. So, using a chatbot, Power Virtual Agents, Nesta was able to interact, get an adaptive card, which an adaptive card, I could get technical there, but it's basically a rich text card that you're really using JSON to design. And I at the end of the presentation, I can pop it open and just give an example there. But you're using this adaptive card that you can design a really nice form and do a whole bunch of things. Export to PDF, export to Excel, leveraging Flow. You can pump these adaptive cards within a chat or within a channel to create really nice, rich forms. Then we used Flow and the approvals app for Patty to approve the request, and then using Teams, everyone's getting notified that where the request was. And then using a Power App embedded in Teams, we were also managing that request. And then lastly, we threw in another adaptive card to let Nesta know all the different stages of the request. So in our next demo here, we'll show you also the power here with Power Platform and Teams. We got a construction site here. We got a cement construction company that is out in the field, and we want to give them tools to interact back with the office, but we don't want to disturb their day. They've got a lot of work to do, and the last thing they want to be doing is jumping to 5 different apps to do some project management pieces here, do some forecasting in this app, get some inspections done here. So in this case, we've built a Power App for our field users, and this Power App is for the construction site. And within this Power App, we're going to go in this demo now and complete a inspection form. And while we're doing an inspection form, we need to interact with health and safety. So this is the first demo. So if we jump in here, and apologies, I try to get this to actually mirror on my mobile device so we could actually see push notifications coming through, but for some reason it did not work right before this demo. So had to quickly pivot over to just showing it here. So the only thing we're going to miss right now is you'll actually see push notifications coming through your device, which you can open the app, which unfortunately doesn't happen on a browser. So if we see on the screen here, Christopher on a daily basis has to fill out an inspection on site. And this inspection is, just your basic health and safety inspection. How does your site look? Is it, are you having any problems? Does health and safety need to come on site and, mitigate any problems? So if we jump in here, inspect the details, we'll put here, we had Chicago, let's say Microsoft is, building a nice new campus in Chicago. And you can mention the site here. We'll just throw in Chicago again, and we'll say Michael De Abreu. And in this case, I'm taking text boxes, but again, Power Apps is very strong way. It can take these text boxes and actually just pre-populate them. You could have drop downs in here from straight from your ERP, selecting an actual project, or based on a geolocation, you could actually select a project. In this case, I'm just using some text boxes to just show some variables. So June 4th is great. And then, we've got 15 employees on site working with Christopher. And I'm not going to go through this whole inspection form. There's around 163 questions. So I'll just go through a couple. This is a pass, and we'll jump into here. Housekeeping and, clear walkways. We don't have clear walkways. We got a failure here. So you'll notice now that I'm failing something. In today's world, not using a Power App, you've got a document, whether it's a Word document, a paper-based form, a PDF, and you're filling this PDF out. And to get that data back to the office, you're either emailing it. If it's something urgent, you might be giving a call, or if, an email. And it's really based on when that paper gets back to the office and how it gets back. I've seen some sites still taking having fax machines and faxing over papers to offices. It's, we're still there, but using the Power Platform, we can rapidly get these forms back into the office and very quickly. This is writing back to different data sources, whether it's a CDS, a SQL table, SharePoint. You could even write back straight into another system that you may have, whether it's cloud-based or on-premise, because of the different tools Microsoft give you. And as soon as that data is captured, you can action on it. So in this case, we've failed a clear walkway, and you'll notice now we've created a hazard on site. So in our use case here, health and safety have a requirement that when there's a failure, we need to create a hazard, and that hazard needs to be either closed or a workaround needs to happen. So if we jump into our hazards form here, you'll notice we've got a hazard here for housekeeping, clear walkways. Now I could just come in here and correct the problem, or I might need some help here from health and safety. So we've created now, if you will, a work order or a ticket or a hazard in here that needs to have some sort of a remediation. And in this case, I'm going to say, need some help clearing, let's say the snow. We had a snow day and we need some help clearing the snow. So I can come in here now and say, let's notify health and safety right away. And again, I'm clicking a button. We could have these automated. So if I hop over here and I'm going to go in as Nesta, Nesta has access to the health and safety channel. So if I hop over to my Teams integration, actually, no, it's under Contoso, under health and safety. You'll see here, I've got a flow already kicked off and it's already just sent here today at 10:26, which is pretty much right now where I am. So you'll see here, supervisor inspection hazard. Christopher Murray's created something here on the Chicago site, housekeeping clear walkways. And he's posted a message here, need some help clearing snow. So Christopher hasn't left his Power App, and he's interacted back to the office using Teams. The office members have not left Teams yet, and now we're interacting with a site. And generally, this is probably done either through a phone call or when health and safety come on site, they'll have a list of problems. Now we can interactively get them done. No one has to, jump up and get on site and go take a look. We can even add pictures in here if we wanted. Christopher could have taken a picture, sent it back, and it would be displayed here. So we can say here, acknowledged. We are sending over a crew at 10 a.m. Great. So I can acknowledge this. Now, if we were on my device, I would see a push notification come through on the top here. In that case, it's not working right now. So if I just hop over back to my main screen, and you'll see here, I get a notification. I've got 5 right now. So if I hop into my notifications, you can see here health and safety acknowledgement, inspection hazard, Nesta Wilk, acknowledged. We are sending over a crew at 10 a.m. So Christopher doesn't have to have Teams open to get this notification. Christopher doesn't even need Teams, because he can interact back with Teams using his Power App. So digitizing your inspection forms shouldn't just be taking a paper-based form and digitizing it with fields. There should be workflows in there, because at the end of the day, if there's a form for something, there's obviously a workflow behind it, or there is, important data on that form that needs to be captured. So forms shouldn't just be digitized and not used. There's obviously data in there that we could, publish through a Power BI dashboard, kick off workflows, notify people. So in this case, we've taken a plain old inspection form and digitized it by enabling notifications, enabling the way we have open hazards in here, where if I have 10 open hazards, I can have a log of them and keep track of them to remediate them. So if we hop over back into our presentation here, our next piece is forecasting field labor. So forecasting is a very huge topic in its own, and there's so many applications out there. At the end of the day, most of the time you are, viewing these forecasts through Power BI. And one frustrating piece with Power BI initially is you want the ability to use all that amazing data that you have in front of you and write back to it. You don't want to have to hop over to one of your other forecasting applications, do some forecasting there, or wait for other data to come in and then manipulate it there. Now we can actually embed a Power App within a Power BI dashboard and actually write back to the data source. So if we jump in as Nesta over here, you'll notice Nesta's got his Power BI icon in here. And again, using the integration with the Power Platform and Teams, I'm able to just view a Power BI dashboard right in front of me. Now, in this case, this is probably not the prettiest dashboard, but it's just more to show the example here. So in this case here, we are doing forecasting for the construction job that Christopher is on. And if you notice here, we haven't put a forecast in yet for the month of June. We've budgeted 98,000, but we still haven't forecasted based on where we are. So if I'm the PM right now as Nesta, I can highlight this line right here, and you'll notice this is a Power App right in here. And out of this, so what's summing up this 98,500 over here is my equipment, material, labor, and subtrades. So as the PM in here now, I can quickly put in what I see the forecast for June in here. So for labor, we initially budgeted 28,000. I'm going to say, I think we can we can crunch some numbers there and get under. Equipment, we were purchasing equipment. This is not going to change. And my material, I believe, is going to try and see if I can get some discounts, and then sub-trade, something we've already scheduled. We'll keep that on track. So if you notice here on June under Project Manager Forecast, I don't have any data yet. If I hit save, I'm using a Power App to write back to my data source, and now I've just written back to my Power BI dashboard. And you'll notice all my different graphs at the bottom here are being, just click off there. You notice all my graphs at the bottom now are being refreshed. I didn't have to click the refresh button. I'm using refresh right in the Power BI and integration with Power Apps to write back to my dashboard. Now I notice, Christopher's probably been busy and has not done his forecast yet. So I can just hit this button over here, send the foreman a reminder by using, in this case, I'm using an API. Microsoft actually recently just launched a flow button. I could change this to a Microsoft flow button, but in this case, I'm still kicking off a flow just through an API. So I've just sent Christopher a reminder. So if I hop into Christopher's app over here, and I should get a notification right over there. And I think I clicked July, I should have clicked June, but anyway, Christopher's got a notification in here. And again, this could be automated. In this case, I'm just clicking. So Christopher's been notified, please, forecast reminder for July. We'll throw it in for June because that's the example. Yes, if I hit forecasting here. Now, all Christopher knows is hours. I know how many hours that I'm going to need in here. So we can add a couple tasks in here. So for concrete prep, we're going to need, let's say, 15 hours. For the pouring, we're going to need to do some scheduling, so 150 hours for the month of June. And for, let's say the coring, we're going to need around 48 hours. And then, site supervision for all this work, we're going to need around 200 hours. So Christopher's, interacting with with back in the office because, Christopher has the experience in the field. He knows what he needs to do to get this job done. So Christopher is forecasting within hours. Now we have some algorithms in here and calculations to generate material out of these hours because, generally material is driven off the number of labor hours within construction. So, Christopher's going to hit submit. And if I hop over here, Nestor gets a notification because, he went out and grabbed a coffee, came back to his desk, and he gets a notification saying June field forecast is complete by Christopher Mari. He can jump back into Power BI. And now Christopher is still in the field, still just using his Power App. And if we've noticed here, I put in obviously the hours I put in on matching here, but if you notice here, Christopher's expecting to only have $36,000 worth of material and labor. He's not accounting in for the material and the sub-trades and the equipment. So this is what he's forecasting for his labor and material based on the hours that he put in. So again, we've used the Power App now to interact. Nestor hasn't left Teams. Nestor still used a Power BI dashboard, a Power Virtual Agent, a Flow, and in the field, Nestor's used solely a Power App. So if we hop back over in here, timesheets. So timesheets, are generally done within the field. Again, there's a lot of people still using paper or Excel spreadsheets, many different ways. And using a Power App, you can quickly generate a time capture tool. Now it can get a little complex depending on shift premiums and all these different overtimes that some unions within the construction field or the different markets that people may be in. But in this case, we're going to fill out a timesheet, and Nestor is going to be approving it within Teams. Now, before we even do that, we created a chatbot, and Christopher's not too sure of when the timesheet deadline is. So Christopher hits the chatbot button. He just wants to know when is the cutoff, and he can interact with our chatbot as well. Frank, so he says hello. Frank says, how can I help you today? And by default, we're giving Christopher, very common questions that are asked from the site. Timesheet deadline, health and safety policies, Maybe they want to, request site material. In this case, we just want to know when is the timesheet deadline. Timesheet deadline for this period is due today at 5 p.m. So Christopher's great. Can jump back into his app and put in the timesheet here. I'm just going to add in, let's say, 4 workers here. Just going to click a couple people here. So and again, Christopher could have an app that has his whole team set up in here where it's pre-populated. There's many things you can do to make these apps a little bit more intuitive. And at the end of the day, you're trying to get your users just in and out of the app so they can continue with their other activities. Just select a bunch of random people here. And now I'm going to throw in, so for today, David worked 15 hours. He was supervising. Regan, Matt, and Daniela only worked 8 and 7 hours over here. So great. These are the hours for today. And again, we're doing it by day. This could be done by month, by week, what have you. So if I hit submit, so what it's doing in here now, and I'm getting a message in here. It looks like my flow might be airing out on me. Hopefully not. Let's go in. This is always the demo gods. Hopefully I can see a previous one. Maybe not. Try that again. I'll do it for one person for now. I really hope this works. Come on. Oh, I'm getting an error here. Okay. Let me see if I just hop over. I really want to show this one because it's got a nice, rich adaptive card. Sorry about that. Let's go this version. All right, if this doesn't go the first time, I will jump to the next demo. But in this case, what we are doing is filling out a timesheet, and Nesta's getting a nice view of the timesheet within Teams, and has the ability to download it as a PDF if he wants to. And you know what I'm going to do is I might just do a cheat and actually send a previous one that actually went through just for this demo. And you'll be able to actually see the and yeah. So I'll just resubmit this one. All right, it's going. So if I hop back into as Nesta, I get a nice timesheet approval in here. Microsoft project, submitted by Christopher, approvers Nesta, and then it gives me a nice view of all the users that have, how many hours. Now, in this case, it's just a timesheet, but you could do, pretty much a menu of different things. The view you're getting in here is really a one-to-many. So this could be an invoice. This could be a request for a flight. This could be a request for expenses. It's not just timesheets. Basically, you're getting this adaptive card that has the ability to have a one-to-many relationship. So any approvals that you can think of can be done using this method. And then you can even get the ability to export as a PDF. This could be, a work order that's going out to a manufacturing group, and they need to print out the work orders. So in here, I have a nice, timesheet that I can now print. Digitizing, we try to get away from this, but that ability is still there for where it's needed. So right in here, I can hit approve. And I do see I got a question here. Oh, can you guys not hear me?
No, your audio seems to be coming through for me.
Okay, I just seen some note. Anyone? No, I can't hear anything.
I think that's
Oh, okay. So sorry, Lisa's only having problems. Okay, as long as you guys can hear me, great. I think there'll be a recording, Lisa. So if you do miss it, I believe there'll be a recording. So in this case, I've approved the timesheet. I hop back over to Christopher. Christopher gets a notification now that your timesheet has been approved. So in that case, I just want to go back to that adaptive card. So there's so many applications for that where you have something that needs to be approved, that needs to be generated from something. So that data doesn't need to be on the fly. It can be generated from any data source and on a scheduled basis, on an instant flow is what we were using here, where it's as the button's being clicked. So those adaptive cards are really useful when you need something done very quickly. I find approvals outside of email are better. Number one, you still keep a track record of all your approvals that are being done using the approval app, where things just get lost in email. Using the approvals also, it gives that whole time array of when something was initiated, when it was approved. If there's comments going back and forth, it's all captured and can always be referenced back as those history of those approvals are being captured. If we check back to our presentation here. So we did 3 things here. So health and safety inspections, again, Nesta was interacting with a health and safety inspection, didn't leave Teams. Forecasting, Nesta wrote back using within Teams, had a Power BI app open using an embedded Power app, was able to interact with his data and write back to that data source. In the next one was sent an approval flow using an adaptive card to present the approval, which was a timesheet, approved it. And our last little demo in here for Christopher is using the chatbot again to get more company information. So if I generate, and I haven't configured the flow 100% to be a whole robust flow workflow within the chatbot, is just really for this example. But in here, I could request some site material. I want to order concrete. How many bags of concrete do you need? I need 10, and it's request sent to the procurement team. I can, using a chatbot, I can ask, I need the health and safety policy, and it directs me straight to my SharePoint site where my health and safety policy would be. So using this Power Platform, you can now interact back and forth with your users, and these chatbots are, you don't need a whole development team anymore developing these tools. There's still definitely a place for our developers, but there is a lot of processes that we want to get out into our users very quickly. As business users, we understand these problems, and we can very quickly code them using these low-code solutions like Power BI, like Power Apps, like Flow, and these Power Virtual Agents. Now, there's definitely these different levels of how deep you can go, where you might need some code, and Microsoft give that ability to pro developers to actually develop custom visuals. In this case here, we're actually using a custom visual to put in the chatbot. So there's still definitely a place here and there for pro developers when they are using the Power Platform to even take the integration and to take the development another step further. But very rapidly, we can get these digitized forms out into the field as business folks. So before I jump out of here, I wanted to just give a quick example of an adaptive card for those of you who are not aware of it. So adaptive card, if you jump into the samples over here, these are a bunch of samples that Microsoft already gave you straight off the bat. So in this case, here's an activity update, which we were using the activity update to inform users of a laptop being arrived or ordered. But there's a whole bunch of pieces in here. We use the expense report feature for the timesheets. You got your flight details. You could, if you got someone coordinating a whole bunch of flights for people within an organization, you can be sending out their flight information straight out using adaptive cards. We got, a bunch of different activities that can be done here. All you're doing is, if we take this activity update, you've got your data where it's actually capturing, but if you look in here, your template JSON, you're basically taking all this JSON in here, throwing it in your designer, and then you can now rename these, set due date, we can, just say test. And you're generating, as you're typing in here, it's generating your code in here. And then when you are using your flow, if I say edit over here, this flow does a whole bunch of things because I actually have the export to PDF working. So it's just creating my template to have, PDF. So there's a bunch of steps before it. But if you just jump to where I'm actually posting the card to Nesta, it's pretty much that JSON code that's being spat out by my designer. And all I'm doing is changing a couple variables in here to actually reference my data that's coming in. So these adaptive cards are, a really neat feature that Teams can be used within a Teams chat, a Teams channel, and again, these can all be automated. So these are not, they don't just have to be user generated. These could be system generated as well. So that is pretty much the end of the demos. If I jump back in my presentation here, and we'll have some time for questions and answers. I just want to first of all give a massive shout out and thanks to the sponsors of the M365 Chicago event. They've been great, and I'm so thankful for them having me here and presenting. And hopefully the presentation struck some ideas within your mind of how you can go back and use the Power Platform and integrate it with Teams. If there's someone on here that's from Microsoft, get them to put Teams part of the Power Platform. I really believe Teams should be branded as the Power Platform as well because of the rich integration. And again, take a look at Dataverse for Teams that Microsoft's recently launched. You can build these full-blown apps within Teams using the context of the theme of Teams and deep linking through chats and a whole bunch of different things, and still using your Office 365 license. Also, just want to mention there's the Children's First Fund that we are helping collect donations for. So if you want to grab that link on the screen, I think we can throw it into the chat as well. There's a QR code in there as well that you could scan. I'll just leave it up for a couple seconds more. Actually, I think we can put that link into the chat as well. And then, please help us improve on this conference. These events are really good for getting people information and sharing really great ideas. Some of the sessions that are coming on later today, there were some sessions happening during this one that couldn't wait to get to or want to see as well. So hopefully I can get a part of those recordings and take a look at them. But please, provide some feedback to help us keep these events going and to help us improve as presenters and the content that you all want to see. We'll leave some time for some questions. Are there any questions from anyone? I say if you have a Microsoft E3, can you use Dataverse with Teams and Power Automate, or will it only work? So yes, Andrea, good news. As of now, and from a lot of Microsoft events that I've been on, there's no future look of them increasing that or putting license. So yes, to answer your question, you can use Dataverse for Teams using just an E3 license. You have the ability to build out an app. There is a limit per app or environment, I should say, that is 2 gig. But there are mechanisms to archive that data and keep the Dataverse kind of free. But yes, using Teams, you can definitely build out your app. So if I hop in here as on Teams, I can quickly pull it up. And please, Jay, if I'm running out of time, just let me know. I'll just quickly hop in and just show the Dataverse for Teams app within Teams.
You're doing great.
Okay, great. So you'll notice if you don't see it here, you might have to add it under Find Apps. You can just go to your App Store here under Apps and search for Power Apps, and you can add it. I've got it already. It creates a whole kind of Dataverse environment for you. So this is kind of how it looks when you launch it, and you can say Start Now. And if you go under Build, you'll notice they attach to teams. So you'll select a team. So I've got the procurement requests in here. I've got invoices and a bunch of other things. I got Frank, the chatbot that we were interacting with within this environment as well. And then that process portal that you saw Alan working with is right over here. So if I click on the process portal, I am able to edit the app straight within Teams. And at this point in time, you still have to edit the app in Teams, and it's a Canvas app using from what I understand, there are a lot more new features that Microsoft are pushing out now where you can actually do model-driven apps embedded as well in Teams. So that functionality is there. So yeah, to create a table, you just add data here, and you can see procurement requests and whatnot is here. But if I don't see a table, I can create a brand new table in here, give it a test, just give it a test name over here. And I'm actually creating a Dataverse table in the background. And if I jump into Teams here, quick, Power Apps, sorry. And if you jump to Admin Center, I will show you where you will see that environment. It sets up its own Dataverse environment. And you can see here, Teams integration demo. The type is a Microsoft Teams environment. And if you jump into capacity, I'll show you what I meant by that 2 gig limit. So if you see Teams integration demo, by default, they reserve 512 megabytes for the whole app config. But basically, this is the environment over here. And if the app gets to a point where you want to expand it and push it into production, you can simply upgrade the environment to an actual full-blown Dataverse environment. But what's really cool, you can still interact with the data. You can pull it up in Excel, and manipulate data there, if you will. It's pretty much a light version of the Dataverse. So jump back into Teams here. So here I've created a table called tests, and I can now basically create columns in here, just as you will with the Dataverse. And again, it's all relational, so you can build the relationships between the different tables, all from this Dataverse for Teams that was recently launched. And then using the same tables under build here, you can then, if I say see all, you can then build your chatbots and your cloud flows. Your tables are all listed here. There's the one we just created called test, and it will keep your whole environment for this. It kind of creates this little box for you. My instance is called Teams integration demo. So it kind of creates everything in here. So all your connectors will be listed here. Everything that you're using for this app will be listed in here. Your chatbot is right over here. Frank, where I can go in here and actually edit Frank within Teams as well. Okay, I will leave it there. If there's any other questions, we'll give a couple more minutes. Other than that, I really hope everyone enjoyed this demo and saw something of value that you can take back to your everyday workplace and implement using either Flow, Power Apps, Dataverse for Teams, the adaptive cards. Again, I still feel like it's a very unknown piece that you can do with Teams, and Teams is more than just chats and meetings. Teams is very useful for a whole bunch of different apps, notifications, approvals, and being able to action different pieces within your organization. So thank you for your time, and I really hope you enjoyed the presentation.